You like Sundays? I'm sure we all do. We need a good rest after 5 or 6 days of hard work. In fact, our loving God Jehovah has provided such provision in the Mosaic Law for the early Christians. The early Christians observe a rest day called Sabbath. But are we still obligated to observe the weekly Sabbath? What is the Sabbath actually? Sabbath came from a Hebrew word meaning to rest or to cease. It is the seventh day of the Jewish week. Some festive days in the year, as well as the 7th and 50th years, were also called Sabbaths. On the Sabbath day, no work except priestly service in the sanctuary was to be done. Now, knowing what is the Sabbath, is it our Sundays, and are we still obligated to keep it? Let's see what the Apostle Paul says in Colossians chapter 2, verse 16 and 17. It reads, "Therefore, do not let anyone judge you about what you eat and drink, or about the observance of a festival, or of the new moon, or of a Sabbath. Those things are a shadow of the things to come, but the reality belongs to the Christ." Those inspired words suggest quite a change in God's requirements for His servants, because notice the last part. It says, "The reality belongs to the Christ." So once the Christ comes, there will be new truths revealed. This proves that there will be a change. But this raises yet another question. What is the change? Let's open our Bibles to Romans chapter 7 verse 6 to see what this change is. Romans chapter 7 verse 6 reads, "But now we have been released from the law, because we have died to that which restrained us, in order that we might be slaves in a new sense by the Spirit, and not in the old sense by the written code." From this scripture, we understand that we are now released from the Mosaic law, and Christians are under a new law, the law of the Christ. The former law, covenant given through Moses to Israel, came to an end when Jesus' death fulfilled it. Let's refer to a scripture supporting this fact. Romans chapter 10 verse 4. It says, "For Christ is the end of the law, so that everyone exercising faith may have righteousness." So, did the commandment about keeping the Sabbath also come to an end? Yes. After saying that we have been discharged from law, Paul went on to refer one of the 10 commandments. So the 10 commandments, including the Sabbath law, are part of the law that came to an end. God's worshippers, therefore, are no longer required to observe a weekly Sabbath. The change from the Israelite to a Christian system of worship could be illustrated in this way. A country may change its constitution, and once the new constitution is legally in place, people are no longer required to keep the former one. So a person will need to study a new constitution carefully to see what new laws now apply and when will it go into effect. Similarly, Jehovah God has provided over 600 laws, including 10 main ones, for the nation of Israel. These included laws about morals, health matters, sacrifices, and Sabbath keeping. However, Jesus said that His anointed followers will constitute a new nation. From 33 CE onward, this new nation has had a new constitution founded on 2 basic laws: love of God and love of neighbor. Although the law of Christ included instructions that are similar to those in the law given to Israel, we should not be surprised that some laws are very different and others are no longer required. The law requiring the observance of a weekly Sabbath is one of those that are no longer binding. Therefore, Christians today are not obligated to observe the weekly Sabbath.